Hello, this is The Pride, and today we're in Moscow, where on the eve of the new year, we're going to meet with a bright, charismatic fellow countrywoman who's quite popular. Meet the expert numerologist Klara Kuzdenbaeva. Sincere, cheerful, and able to surprise. Klara Kuzdenbaeva, born on February the 24th, 1963 in Almaty. A graduate of Abay Kaz NPU Faculty of Pedagogy and Psychology. Practicing psychoanalyst, expert numerologist. So, we met at home at a table that shows that the people of Kazakhstan gathered here. Kazi, baursaks, and tea with milk, the connection with our homeland is not interrupted. Well, for me, this is a sure sign that the new acquaintance is successful from the very beginning and the conversation is going to be very interesting. Well, where are you from? From which part of Kazakhstan? I was born in Almaty. Okay. I am an Almaty citizen, born in Almaty. I lived in Kazakhstan because my dad is from Kazakhstan. But this is absolutely not my city, and I don't really like it. Why? Because I have bad memories about it. There is no doubt that our new friend is southerner, bright, temperamental, talkative. Her temper is so familiar to us. Well, we started with the fact that you are an Almaty citizen, and judging by your southern temperament, it is true. It is clearly seen. I don't know. I have many friends from Kazakhstan, from Karaganda, from that side, but you're not like them. You are like Almaty citizen. Yes, it is true. I was born in Almaty. I lived there. Something still remains despite the fact that you have not lived in your homeland for many years. Something Kazakhstani still remains in your nature, doesn't it? And moreover, when I'm looking at the table, of course, this is my homeland. Therefore, I was preparing to your visit. I made kazi and jaya, made baursaks as well. Wow, you even have pialas and tea with milk. Everything is in so Kazakh way, in Kazakh style today. During the conversation, I mistakenly called my new acquaintance a businesswoman, and as it turned out, in her opinion, it was not quite right. According to Clara, we cannot call it business if it has become the style and leitmotif of life. And the numbers for her are everything around, inside and out. Well, be that as it may, considering how difficult it was for Klara Kuzdenbaeva to build her life and her success, we definitely can call her self-made woman. You have created yourself, what you do, your work, and your success. Well, yes, actually, I'm an economist, according to my first credential. Actually, I graduated from the Faculty of Psychology, and 5 years ago I received a degree of Doctor of Psychology from UNESCO for my work and achievement. I did not write any doctoral thesis, but for my work and achievements, UNESCO, they awarded me with the title of Doctor of Psychology. Congrats! So, today is your anniversary? 5 years. Well, not today actually, this year. Well, but I'm actually having an anniversary today. Here you can see on the back of my t-shirt. I would not say that you're 55. I am 55 years old. I have 5 grandchildren. Wow, you're a rich woman. In fact, mathematics has played a big role in my life. When I was just 10 years old, and my aunt Kalamkas Arlayevna, I cherish the memories of her. She taught me to love mathematics, and now mathematics is everywhere in my life. Because mathematics has smoothly passed into numerology, and for me, numerology is a way of life. This is it. And how did you even come to this? How did numerology appear in your life? I just wanted to understand why certain events occurred in my life. I understood that I didn't deserve many negative events. I graduated from the Faculty of Psychology, and after that I became fascinated with numerology. Teachers also can be bad, but the life lessons were good. Clara speaks with a smile about difficult periods, about moments of failure, treachery of people whom she once trusted. I don't know if it's a natural gift not to focus attention on failures, or was it taught by numbers, but the fact remains, the atmosphere in this house is positive. Of course, I became obsessed with numerology. Why? Because I started to count everyone. First the members of my family, then the famous politicians, artists, the whole environment. That is, for example, my number is numerology and is 2 9s, and in fact I have an analytical mindset. Naturally, it was interesting to me, and of course, by virtue of my years, I was in my early 30s. It was 1996 or 1997. So of course the numbers fascinated me, and in general the numbers became alive for me. I live in numbers. All that really is, you see, everything that surrounds us is a number, and you too are a number, a figure. Why? Because you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, which is also a number. The room where we sit, the house where we are now, the city, everything consists of numbers. This housing is also filled with numbers, and a lot of things are very illustrative. Now I'll show you my numbers in order, everything to be visible. I am 55 years old this year, and a friend of mine made a gift to me. On the birthday cake, there was Cleopatra with my face and my numbers. I see your face. With my numbers. These are my numbers. That is 1 unit, 4 twos, 2 triples, 5, 4, 6, 7, but I do not have 8s. Almost all the numbers are there, but there are no 8s. And the 8s are responsible for luck. And I never get lucky. I always feel it. That is, I never get anything right the first time. What do these numbers mean? Where do these numbers come from? From the date of birth. I was born on February the 24th, 1963. Accordingly, there is such a concept in numerology, which is called a detailed layout. This layout is being made. This is called the Pythagorean square. Long time ago, Pythagoras systemized everything. Numerology appeared in Vedas culture, and after the Pythagoras systemized it, he said that a man who is familiar with magic, familiar with numbers, can control his fate. It's interesting. Yes, this is my matrix. We ate the cake, but Cleopatra is left. Beautiful, is it not? Yes, really beautiful. Therefore, it cannot be said that this is not true. It often happens that disputes arise over the fact that they say that numerology is not a science, it is a charlatanism. Well, in general, I am well understood by mathematicians and physicists. A woman who radiates light and confidence really deserves to be called a queen of her own destiny. So why not Cleopatra, right? I always say that you need to become the best version of yourself. For example, you do a manicure, you must become the best. Or you are a hairstylist or a makeup artist, for example, the one that come to me today. In fact, he also came to Moscow many years ago, in fact 15 years ago. He is an orphan. He came from Uzbekistan. He's an orphan, but he became the best because he does makeup for all the celebrities, and everyone knows him as a good specialist, and he already has several beauty salons. Therefore, if you're doing something, you must become the best in your field of activity. I became the best. A great recipe for success and happiness from Klara Kuzdenbaeva. Great. I like this approach to life. Clara and her husband, a vital mathematician, Vladimir Kuznetsov, are very serious about numbers. Imagine my surprise when, before agreeing to a meeting, the potential guest of the show first asked for my date of birth. Yes, that's true. But you know, once I had such a situation. It was the early years of my popularity, and there was such a magazine, the Capital Style, from the government of Moscow. A journalist was sent to me, and after that I called the editor and said that we would not be able to make a good interview. If I know the date of birth, of course, I can figure out. I can understand the general character, traits of a person, the appearance, the behavior. I immediately was given a verdict. Great, let's work together. Well, this approach only inflamed my curiosity. You see, numerology is endless, as well as count. And therefore, when various events happen in the country, let's say the resignation of some official or some negative events, the arrest of the governor or some people who are in power, just knowing the date of birth, you know why it happened. Therefore, I have a lot of cases in practice when I warned a person that he could go to prison. Unfortunately, not everyone listened to my words. Someone followed my advice, and some did not. But is there a reverse side of your gift, that you know at once any person that he is like an open book for you and is no longer interesting? I'm always interested in any person. There is no such thing as disappointment. I really enjoy it. You say that I have a rather complicated character. I'm an emotional person. Clara has been together with her husband Vladimir Kuznetsov for almost 12 years, and they're not just a married couple. We see partners, associates, and just charming people with a good sense of humor. Is it difficult with Clara? No, not difficult. I would say not difficult, but peculiar.
Интересно.
Interesting. Yes, something new every day, it's true.
Женщина-сюрприз.
Surprising woman? I don't understand what can arouse her interest. She is interested in many things, and she always changes every day. It's not like yesterday. By the way, in spite of the solid experience of relations, Vladimir and Clara got married officially only 3 years ago.
Это наша свадьба.
And this is our wedding 3 years ago.
3 года назад
3
мы с
years
Володей-
ago, Volodya and I got married.
Внучка моя, знаете, такую фразу...
You know, my
за-
granddaughter is now 9 years old. Then, she was 6 years old.
И она мне говорит, я ее
I
раскачиваю на
swung her
качелях.
in a swing in the courtyard, and she told me, Granny, get away because I could hit you. I don't want you to be bruised at your wedding. Klara Kuzdenbaeva loves to communicate and make friends. She's proud of strong relationships with people. She values her family, and they seem to reciprocate her.
Здесь прям узнаваемый такой портрет.
Such a recognizable portrait. Yes, it was my birthday too. Your shining smile. On my 50th birthday, it was painted by an artist from Kiev, a Ukrainian artist. Unfortunately, I forgot his last name, but such a beautiful portrait was presented to me. In Kazakh ornament on the edges.
И казахский орнамент по краю.
It was he who invented it. The most interesting thing, he did not see me even once in person. As far as I understood, the portrait was painted from a photograph, and he decided to paint ornaments on the edges.
Он тут при-
But he
придумал.
could clearly see your temperament, and it is your smile for sure. One of the activities of Vladimir, who is known perhaps no less than his bride spouse, is the creation of Mandalas, special symmetrical circular patterns that came to us from Buddhist culture. Vladimir creates unique mandalas for people.
А мандалы это тоже цифры?
Are mandalas numbers too? Mandala is also a number, everything's a number. Mandalas often include infinity sign. They are all different, like fingerprints, and the most interesting thing is that every person sees his own mandala right away, even without prompts. Or when people look at their mandala for the first time, they say, "How do you know my favorite colors?" They see themselves in these patterns. One of these mandalas was created in Tibet specifically for the Dalai Lama.
А вот эту картину вообще смотрите.
In this picture, I mean, photograph with His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Интересная,
There you can see the mantra that Volodya drew.
которую нарисовал Володя.
His Holiness liked the mandala created for him, and a memorable photo now adorns the office. Here is my wailing wall. Every man should have his own wailing wall. When I have a bad mood, I come here, look at all this. Here I am, the champion. Here's the first one. Look at all this, and the mood immediately arises. I think, why be upset about the little things? And why do you say that this is only for men? Maybe women also should have such things. But not about sport. I don't like sport. Maybe. No, I mean not only women, I mean literally everyone. Everyone must have their own wailing wall. It does not matter about sports or about some other merits. I think that mothers with many children should have an album with their children. For example, someone has spoiled the mood, she looks through the album, looks at the children, and the mood rises. She's immediately pleased with herself. There must be such a psychological relief, some kind of wailing wall.
Вот еще одна.
And here's another formula for a happy life. In this office, Clara writes her scientific works. Yes, I also work here sometimes. Workplace with a gorgeous view.
Рабочее место такое с шикарным видом.
Of course, we could not help asking Clara about the people she worked for. It's no secret that this woman is called the puppet master of Moscow, the chief numerologist of the capital, and she's given other equally loud epithets. Celebrities, politicians, businessmen of the first echelon, everybody uses the help of our countrywoman.
Именно по работе я консультирую
I advise different people, ordinary housewives, people from show business, politicians and businessmen come to me.
политики и бизнесмены, в общем-то,
And I have a lot of friends from show business. Tamara Gvertsatali,
Тамара Гварцетелева,
Alika Smechova, Olya Kabo, Luba Uspenskaya, Nadezhda Babkina.
Надежда Бабкина.
In general, Nadia actually played a big role in my life, because everything started with her. We met on one of the TV shows, and after that we became friends. Applause to this extraordinary woman who deserves it. Clara, I sincerely wish you happiness. Thank you. I've actually been writing a book for several years now. It is almost ready. I mean, it is almost finished. I just need to edit, impose and everything else, but I don't have enough time. It's just that Volodya and I, we have a very tight schedule. We are constantly on the road. By the way, about traveling, it was not so easy to get a couple in Moscow, and our meeting took place just the day before from the flight to Dubai. What are you doing there? Consultations, live streams, and a little bit of vacation, combining leisure and work became a matter of habit long time ago. We are very busy. We have lots of broadcasts, consultations, a lot of people. In the book I'm working on, there are a lot of interesting stories from the life of business people and celebrities. There is a story that happened to me. I've advised one oligarch for many years, and in general, I warned him that he mustn't lower his guard, otherwise he would go to prison. And he answered me, yes, Clara, we should always keep a weather eye open. And the most interesting part is, after that, he was put under house arrest. His son Artyom came to me, and I told him, well, I warned your father. What are we going to do? We will look at his lawyers. We need to know who is matching our needs. Did you choose the right lawyer? Yes, when his son meets a girl, he immediately calls me and asks if this or that girl is suitable for him. And in 2016, he wrote to me and asked me to count the girl. He said that her name was Ioana. She was born on December the 21st, 1982. I immediately told him, she has an unbearable nature. Do not try to date her. Nothing good will come of it. And he answered me, can you tell me more about her? I told him she was born in the year of glory, year of fame, success, popularity, birth of a child. It was all in the fall of 2016. I warned him in 2017. He wrote me, Clara, your prediction came true. Anna Sedakova revealed her lover, Artyom Komarov. Well, imagine, there are such stories. I told why Kirkorov broke up with Pugacheva. I was then invited to the show as an expert. Well, I showed everything by date. Later, the scene was cut from the TV show. That was in September. And in November, a girl was born. That's how it can be. Of course, there are good predictions, but there are also sad ones. When you warn a person, for example, you say, you know you need to leave your work, otherwise you can go to jail. People relate differently to numerology forecasts. We have to admit that, as in any profession, there are many amateurs and fraudsters, and the shadow of their actions, alas, sometimes falls on those who are serious and responsible to their work. Of course it happens, and then I warned the person that he needed to leave work. Most interestingly, he obeyed my advice, left work, and 6 months later, or even earlier, the whole team was put in jail, and his wife came to me with words of gratitude. One of the warmest and saddest memories for Clara is Batarkhan Shukenov, with whom she had a long-term friendship. It is impossible for her to speak about him without tears. We even had to pause to bring the conversation back to its former cheerful life. While emotional people tend to show emotions, especially when it comes to strong human relations. Do you keep typed friendships? Yes, I can't do it otherwise, despite the constant flow of people. Of course, in my opinion, one of my negative qualities is that I always put the carriage before the horse, and Volodya always stops me. Peculiar sacrifice. It is very interesting to look at them. Clara is talkative, bursting with energy. Vladimir adds to the conversation sarcastic jokes. Well, what is left without humor? Look, you're a married couple and your field of activity is similar. This is not the same thing, but it is similar things. Do you have any disputes, not of a personal nature, but of a professional one, or not? Constantly. We constantly argue. Quarrels? What could we quarrel about? We are professionals. No, why not? Anything happened to me and Volodya. We are ordinary people. For example, one evening we argued, and the argument suddenly turned into a quarrel. As a result, we had a fight. Well, it wasn't a quarrel, it was temper tantrum. Our dispute turned into a misunderstanding on raised voices. Most interestingly, Volodya told me then, look, I consider myself a fair person because I have a 4 in the numbers. In general, the 4 are responsible for practically patience and justice. Well, I replied to him, I am a just person, to which he said, you do not have a 4, you are unjust. Sometimes he says, listen, you are unfair because it is the conflict day written in your program and you yourself provoked this conflict and this quarrel was because of you. It came to practical calculations and who should be counted if not those who are near us. In general, I didn't expect, but I learned something new about myself. When you meet a person with such a sign, if this is a woman, then this is an astral sister. If this is a man, then an astral brother. My astral sisters Tamara Gvertsiteli, Anita Tsoy, Ira Dubtsova, they are also my astral sisters because they have the same sign. By the way, Olia Kabo is also. It is not just for fun. You can feel sympathy for those people according to your program. You have 4 units. Unit refers to the spiritual shell of a person. 3 units is a usual thing. 4 units indicate that you are a kind person. You have a strong-willed character. Many stars, politicians, sportsmen trust Clara so much that they use her calendars where they have schedule for every day. Here's a calendar. That is, we have days of physical recovery, physical decline. Same with an emotional upswing. Pink is the days of recovery. Blue is the days of recession. And the declines can be different. Such decline is dangerous. Accidents, car crashes, thefts occur during such recessions. And the danger is compounded when a person is in a recession period. It is interesting to open their own secrets to people. Saying things that are not quite pleasant is difficult. After all, the reaction can be unpredictable. We live in the same house with Stas Pieha. We are friends. There was a time when I wrote a column in Star Hit magazine. And in general, journalists, they love scandals. I wrote about the fact that Stas's family line is not expressed. And the article was eventually called Stas Pieha is a poor family man. And they started writing to me in social networks. How can you say that about Stas? He's not like that. But Stas was not offended. He told Clara, I'm actually a terrible family man. And I also told him, you understand we are friends. Why should I tell you only compliments? After all, it is really true that you are not a family man. Your family line is not expressed. But Yolka was offended, and her lawyer sent me notice of claim. Letter with requirements to delete information, offending this artist. Well, I said that Yolka is good, but she is unbearable. I insulted her. They wanted to sue me. I called the editorial office of the magazine and said that Yolka wants to sue me. We settled the dispute amicably, but the requirements of the artist were not implemented. Did you leave the information? Yes, I did. So you work with famous people, do you? Yes. Politicians, celebrities, these are people with a very big charisma. I don't know what kind of numbers express all this. But do you think it's often that, for example, a person is very talented, but his temper is disgusting? Of course it is. Klara Kuzdenbaeva often participates in the TV shows and films as an expert. She is addressed as an authoritative person, and therefore she can be heard and seen almost everywhere. She leads radio streams in London, Moscow, Kazakhstan, and the Arab Emirates. She is always in television projects on almost all Russian TV channels. She travels with lectures and meetings. She writes a book, and she never seems to get tired. I started in some TV show where I talked about Ivan the Terrible. Most interestingly, Ivan the Terrible was given a prediction. When he was 45, he was told that he would lose the throne and die. And how did Ivan the Terrible change his fate? He delegated control over the state to the Tatar Khan, Semyon Bekbulatovich, who ruled for 11 months. Thus, the Tsar escaped a difficult period. Interesting, huh? This is how to avoid tragedy. And in the past, there were some good predictors. How can one define the right attitude to numerological forecasts? Any situation can be predicted and changed to a better way. According to Klara Kuzdenbaeva, a person can turn a difficult period to the better one and make happiness out of tragedy. Earlier, by the way, calculations were made only with the help of a sheet and a calculator, but in the 21st century, life is impossible without gadgets. Volodya compiled a program. He's certainly clever. He systemized everything. Before I had to use calculator, now this program is enough for me. After all, I am also a living person. I can make a mistake, and it can change a person's life. There are, of course, skeptic people, and even among the close friends of the numerologist. But a person who speaks answers to questions will not be left without help. And a person born to be happy will always see the best in everything. A year ago, we moved to this apartment. I'm actually very happy, but I miss the Almaty sun. It is often cloudy in Moscow, and the advantage of this apartment is that even in cloudy weather, there is light here because there are panoramic windows and the whole of Moscow is in sight, even if it is cloudy. We had a very warm meeting in the midst of gloomy winter Moscow. By the way, our acquaintance continued already in Almaty, where we met as old friends. The weather is not perfect, but generally it is nice to walk around. Your hometown, right? I lived in that house. Really? Not in this one, but in the next one. So you're from the city center? I moved here when I was a child. In fact, I lived in Kazakhstan. But during my school years, I moved to Almaty. I graduated from the school in Almaty. Yes, but you told before that you don't like Kazakhstan, that you consider Almaty your hometown. But I was born here. It is my city. I consider myself an Almaty citizen. Yes, I lived here when I was married. I lived with my first husband's parents. It was a school of hard knocks for me. Well, in your actual school, is it the one? Yes, school number 54 with focus on mathematics and physics. So you were surrounded with numbers since you were a child, right? Yes, I've already told you that I love numbers and figures. They are alive for me, and I loved maths and school. Good, 54. What does this number tell you about? What does that mean? Well, 9 is my lucky number, and 54 is also 9. So this school was suitable for me. Do you always see such matching ups? Any question can be answered. Do you have good memories about your school years? Were you a good student? Yes, I studied well. I lived with my grandmother. My grandmother lived near the central department store. I had to take care of her because she was already old. I had to buy food and medicine. In general, it was a big responsibility. Therefore, the school years were not quite childish, right? In fact, I always look after someone. Well, I was a good student. I liked math. I was loved by many teachers, but not all of them. But our teacher in physics has always treated me with a special love. And for some reason, from the very beginning, he drew attention to me. But for some reason, he always rated me poorly. Why? Because he wanted me to visit catch-up lessons. And then I came to those extra classes, and of course there were 2 of us. And the most interesting thing, everyone noticed that he was not indifferent to me. You mean he had a crush on you? Yes. So your favorite subject was mathematics, right? Maths, but definitely not physical education. Why not? Because I don't like sports, really. But many people think that I engage in sports activities. Why do you think? Well, yes, I also thought that you do. It is because of your temper? Because I have 4 twos. 4 twos, what does that mean? It means enormous sexual energy. Incredible. Keep in mind that if you have 4 twos, it means a lot. Well now, on the eve of the new year, what will be the next year for everyone? What to expect? What can you say about it as a numerologist? In numerology, it is customary to add all numbers up to an integer. Everything adds up to integers. And if you add 2, 1, 9, you get there. And 3 plus 9 equals 12. 12 is 1 and 2, which equals 3. What is 3? In numerology, 3 is responsible for human talent, creativity. This is a year of creativity for people of different professions. That is why any undertakings, everything that you have planned for the future, you must implement this year. This year is also good for a change in personal life. Bachelors will really want to get married. Marriages concluded in 2019 will be happy, stable, and harmonious. And children born in 2019 will be smart. They will have enormous analytical skills. These children will succeed. So we will celebrate the new year with a good mood, with best wishes, with future prospects and positive thoughts. Great. Thank you for everything. Our dear Clara.
Наша